I ain't gonna be on cocaine, and I'm gonna whoop his ass.
Yeah, show up.
I'm gonna beat the fucking living shit out of you, pussy.
My pick for the fight is probably Benavidez, and I can't see Caleb going the distance against Benavidez. You know, I think the way he got stopped against Canelo, once Canelo upped the tempo a little bit, made him uncomfortable.
I like Plant.
You like Plant?
I like Plant.
Wow, you're going against the grain there.
I like Plant. Not only I like him, the spirit and how he comes to fight, but I also think he has the style. And I think the opportunity right now.
And watch, March 25th, mark my words, I'm gonna put this motherfucker in the hospital.
Boxing fans, welcome. Very rarely do the boxing gods bless us with a fight that we, the fans, want to see, while both fighters are still in their prime. Well, March 25th, that's exactly what's going to be happening when Caleb Plant takes on the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. And in this video, we will be breaking this fight down and giving our thoughts and opinions on who will be victorious. Welcome everybody to Southpaw Combat Sports. David Benavidez usually has a much more difficult time finding his timing against a guy who loves to move around. Against Kyron Davis, he would overextend at times and had a tough time being able to find his range. But the thing is, guys that try to stick and move against David Benavidez end up eventually gassing out, while the Mexican monster does not tire out. His gas tank, in my opinion, for the output that he gives out is among the best in boxing. David Benavidez has some of the best combinations and certainly some of the fastest, if not the fastest hands in the sport. His size and length matched with his intensity and punch output makes him one of the most nightmare-style matchups for any fighter at 168 pounds. Now back to the breakdown. Against Jose Uzcategui, Caleb Plant had a dominant first half. Landing combinations and being able to drop him twice, Caleb Plant was in clear control in the first half of this fight. Towards the second half, he began to fade and Jose was able to start landing and was having his moments. And against Canelo, a similar story. He had a good first 4 to 5 rounds and then began to fade when Canelo started putting pressure on him and eventually broke him down. So in my eyes, I believe David Benavidez has a much better gas tank than Caleb Plant. So in the stamina department, we're gonna go ahead and give this W to David Benavidez. Defensively though, different conversation. David doesn't have too great of a defense in my opinion, especially if you're throwing a jab. Caleb Plant, having one of the best jabs in boxing, can surely be his key to winning this fight. One thing I did notice about David Benavidez, the jab doesn't even have to be landing. Just throwing it and pawing it is enough to keep David Benavidez on standby. In this fight, Anthony Durrell was keeping David under control with jabs and lateral movement. Although most jabs weren't even really landing, it was keeping David at bay. And Caleb Plant being one of the best at jabbing and moving, it makes this fight very interesting if Caleb Plant is somehow able to keep that pace for 12 full rounds. Caleb Plant, on the other hand, has superb defense. Jab, right hand, uppercut, doesn't matter what you throw at him, chances are you're going to miss and you're going to miss often. So in the defense department, most of you guys will agree with me anyways, Caleb Plant clearly takes that W. Hand speed and combinations is another department that David is much better at than Caleb Plant. But David needs a stationary opponent to be able to unleash these combinations. Unfortunately, stationary and Caleb Plant don't go together. This is a guy that loves to show off his footwork and even when backed up, has shown he can fight off of the ropes. In the middle of the ring, on the corner, on the ropes, it doesn't matter. Caleb Plant can fight out of any spot in that ring. One thing I've noticed about David Benavidez, he does not like to be pushed back, and when you swarm him, he doesn't really know what to do at times. Fighting off the ropes is not something that David Benavidez is comfortable doing or likes to do. If you can push him backwards, you can have a lot of success. David Benavidez does not like the jab thrown at him. It seems as though he doesn't know how to defend against him, and it definitely bothers him when an opponent is constantly throwing jabs at him. So if Caleb Plant wants to win this fight, he must, I repeat, he must keep that jab in David's face all night. On the other hand, Caleb Plant's worst enemy is a left hook. Caleb Plant is constantly getting caught with the left hook and he is always almost open for that left hook. And I believe David Benavidez needs to focus on that punch if he wants to win this fight. And as the fight goes on, like clockwork, Caleb Plant begins to fade and begins to slow down. He starts to get sloppy, and that's where David needs to take advantage. Caleb Plant's main weaknesses in the ring are things that David Benavidez can certainly exploit. David Benavidez currently has a devastating left hook, and if he catches Caleb Plant clean, he might not get back up. It's one of his best punches. And the last thing you want to do is be tired around David Benavidez. Round 11 and this man is still throwing 30 punches at a time. Recipe for disaster. And due to the fact that Caleb Plant has problems in the second half of the fight and begins to always fade is the reason why I'm picking David Benavidez to stop him in the 10th round. The last few performances from Caleb Plant, he has faded after the second half, and I believe it will be no different against David Benavidez, especially when he has to move all around that ring all night to avoid those big shots from the Mexican monster. But let me know down below in the comments who you believe will win this fight. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Peace.